I just got some news that makes all of 2023 a huge waste of my time. It kind of feels like I opened up a kissing booth in 2020. What is this news? What wasted all of my time? Well, to give you some context, we have to go back to the start of the year, where I announced that I'm joining up with Moist Critical, aka Charlie, and his Moist esports organization, Moist Moguls. You might have heard of it before, and it's taken up a lot of my time this year, making merch for it, signing Melee players, watching the events. That's all really fun, and I enjoyed a lot of it. But the biggest crown jewel and the biggest time spent was our Valorant team. The Moist Moguls Valorant team cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and dozens of hours every single month just to get off the ground and to operate. And I was really proud of the team. We did very well. But then I received this news this morning. An update regarding the teams participating in VCT Americas 2024, which is basically like the tier 1 franchise, top of the line North American teams and South American teams. After several months in rounds of communication with the Guard, the organization has failed to meet the deadline to agree with a team participation agreement for VCT Americas. As a result, the Guard will not be participating in 2024 VCT Americas League. What does this mean? Well, basically, the Guard, a team that we competed against for a chance to be in this pro VCT Americas League, is no longer going to be in it because they didn't sign the paperwork for it. And so as a result, they're not letting any team into the pro league. Everyone's going to stay in amateurs. They're going to stick with 10 teams for the upcoming season. And guess who beat us on the way to maybe make it to the franchise spot? The Guard. 3-0 in the losers finals, which was our only chance to make it to the Ascension tournament to become a franchise team, as opposed to what we are now, which is more like a minor league team. And that sucks, because it basically means that none of it mattered. Losing didn't matter because the people that beat us aren't even going to go on to do great things. How do we get to this point? Well, let's rewind a bit. If you guys don't know, this has been an amazing month for Valorant. In fact, they just wrapped up VCT Champs, which is their largest event of the year, which I'm only going to show you one clip because I think it's really funny. This is Elon Musk, who was spotted at the event,
try and close.
Getting shown on camera and then getting booed.
Here, surely.
And then after he gets booed for a little bit, they start chanting.
Paper X, another challenge for them.
Bring back Twitter. True, I agree, Elon. Anyway, that was a good month for Valorant. They had a bunch of views. Everybody was super hype. EG won it over Paper X. Great, lovely. However, they have just hit us with a bomb that next year, VCT Americas is not going to let anybody ascend. Fuck Aiden. I keep getting caught by FOMO investing. He put a lot of money into a CSGO knife and it made a lot of money, and then I started looking into CSGO knives. But that's stupid. I have to stop being stupid with my money. And one way to do that is by getting a 5.5% yield on my cash by buying government-backed treasury bills. Yeah, sometimes I say smart stuff. That's obviously a much higher yield than a savings account, and it's also a fixed rate, so you know you're going to get 5.5% back. And it's backed by the government, who will probably be around for a while. But there's a problem. It can be a little tricky to buy US treasuries, and that's where Public comes in. They're the sponsor of today's video and also a super easy one-stop shop to get your US treasuries instead of using a website that looks like it's from 1996. So if you want to be a little bit smarter and a little less like Aiden, then go to public.com/mogulmail right now or click the link in the description to get started. Thank you to Public for sponsoring this video. All right, goodbye. See you later. Goodbye. And who is this Guard? Why are they doing this? Is this Riot's doing? Is this the Guard's fault? Well, to explain it, the Guard is a esports team owned by the people who also own SoFi Stadium, the Los Angeles Rams. I think they own like a super good football team in Europe as well. They're incredibly rich. They're also not that interested in staying in esports. In February, I talked about this in another Mogul Mail. The Guard laid off almost all of their staff. They were basically operating a skeleton crew to get their franchise teams like Call of Duty and Valorant through the end of the season. And then from there, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. But we found out that they were no longer planning to compete. They're basically planning on shutting down the whole operation, and I think they failed to find a buyer for their whole team. And I don't think they're willing to maybe just sell off parts of it. I'm not exactly sure. And this was news, by the way, not just to the Valorant world, but also to the people at the Guard. Because this was a tweet from the Guard social media team literally last week, a couple days ago. What a year for North American Valorant. Congrats to the Guard. Can't wait to battle in 2024. They're not going to battle anymore. And at this point, it's worth explaining how this all works. All right. And I drew up this little schematic because it is fucking confusing. Basically, Moist Moguls, me and Charlie, are in Tier 2, all right, which is just North American teams, and I guess also Canadian teams, I'll put them here, competing. And if you are the top 2 of 12 teams, you get to compete with all the Tier 2 teams from both Americas, South America and North America. 6 people compete in this, so it's 2 from the US, 2 from Brazil, 2 from South America, and then as those 6 people turn into one champion who gets to go to Tier 1, where you get all the money, all the trophies, all the viewership, you smoke a bunch of weed, it's tight, it's dope, everybody wants to do that, and who got to do that was the Guard. They beat everybody, including us, and we were a damn good team. We were 3rd place. But then we come to today's news. So basically, this whole year, this Ascension tournament, all the games that we watched didn't actually matter because nobody's going to Ascend. And I don't blame the people at the Guard, by the way. They didn't even know about this. This is Jonah P., one of the Guard members, who said, "What did I wake up to?" And what was his tweet 2 days ago? "I've never been more motivated to play." Like, that is what we are dealing with. People who are just excited to play, who are finding out they're no longer allowed to play because their organization won't sign the paperwork. At this point, it's worth explaining. What is the paperwork? Like, why did they not sign it? And the answer is, it's basically a list of things that they are guaranteeing to provide to their players. Riot will not directly provide housing and salaries to all the people in their league. However, they do give a stipend to teams, but the stipend doesn't necessarily cover all of the costs. And there's an expectation that the team will pay for everything, all right? So they'll pay for a facility in Los Angeles because that's where the teams play. They'll pay for the salaries based off the league minimums. They'll have a certain amount of staff on board to help run and operate the business. And the Guard, because they don't want to spend any more money, because maybe they don't think it's worth the time, because they certainly have the money, but maybe they think their time is best spent elsewhere, refuse to sign it. All right, so we're talking about, hey, you basically have to sign a piece of paper that says, hey, I'll pay millions of dollars for my players to operate in your league. In exchange, you give me a stipend that covers some of it, but not all of it, and then we go on and we have great times in franchise. They don't want to do it. It is kind of weird they don't want to do it, but it also makes sense because they fired all of their teams and all of their staff in February. They're basically operating just a bare minimum that they don't want to now increase it to go back to what they were in February. But it sucks for us. It sucks for the people in the league. So here's what I think we should do. And I think there's really one option here, but if it somehow doesn't work, there's a backup. The main option is let the players keep the slot. These are 5 players and a coach who have grinded their ass off all year. They didn't make the cut for the initial franchise teams. They were super close. They were an amazing team. They won the Ludwig Invitational. They proved they were the best of not just North America, but South America for Tier 2. Let them compete, right? Let somebody else come in and pay the fees. And maybe they rebrand or whatever, but give the ownership to the players for the 2 years that they're allowed to be up there. Because we've talked about this before, but when you ascend, when you finally go up to the Tier 1, you only do that for 2 years. And then you go back over to here. You only get this 2-year waiting period. It's dumb. There should be relegation. We should have it so the worst person in Tier 1 drops down, not just the person who went up. Because what if the Guard were to win the entire thing? That would be kind of dumb to drop them down. At least I think so. So I would like for some changes to be there. But that's a conversation for another day. So anyway, back to it. We should allow the players to keep it, all right? And maybe offer them like right of refusal. So if they want to go to another team, they can. But if they want to stay on the team, they also can. And I'm sure there's at least 6 people who will instantly pay $1, $2, $3 million to have their name in the franchise slot with these players, even if they don't have full control over kicking them out. I think that would happen. If for whatever reason that can't happen, let the runner-up go, who is M80. They got 2nd place in this North American, South American tournament. They beat out all the Brazilian teams and the South American teams. Let them go, right? If for whatever reason you can't do that. To me, that makes the most sense. I mean, we already have people who have offered to buy the slot. Disguised Toast. He'd be a great representative. And I'm sure he'd be fine keeping the team along. Let me tell you, Toast is good with any team as long as they got a heartbeat. I'm kidding. Just a tease. And the real question is, what was the game plan for people in Tier 2, right? People in the lower league, if they just didn't have the money, if they didn't have a huge org behind them. If an unsigned team won Ascension, would they just not get the slot? Like, for example, Turtle Troop is the only team here who's not signed by an organization. It is just a group of free agent players who happen to be fucking amazing at Valorant. Amazing enough that they've made it through any other group of 5 into the tier 2 system, which is beautiful in a way. That you and your friends, if you're good enough, can create a team and you can work up from tier 3, aka just Joe Blows, to tier 2, which is a Riot sanctioned event, to possibly tier 1. But Riot's saying, actually, no, you can't do that. Because they've actually replied to this before. This was raised at VCT Pacific this year when Bonker made it to playoffs. Riot straight up said winning Ascension does not guarantee a spot in the pros. What orgs have to pass a vetting process, which basically means they have to have enough money to pay for all the things that Riot expects. And if they don't have it, well, GG, you're not getting the slot. And that's where we're left off. I don't fuck with it. Seems like everybody else is mad about it on Twitter and Reddit. Hopefully Riot makes a change to it. Hopefully this adds some fuel to the fire. And the only thing I want to leave you on outside of this is that Moist is still around. Okay, we're working on big things. And if you guys want, you can join Charlie live in Florida to watch our teams live. Little live watch party. Only $25. So if you want to go do that, that's a fun thing. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Rito, please fix game. And see you later. Goodbye. Have a good one. Goodbye.